All right, welcome back. It's still the Thursday edition of the Good Morning Cross River. Now, remember that while we were giving out the drill on how the show would be like today, we made mention that we will be having a team join us to look at anti-corruption. And we joined now by a delegation from the Interreligious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria. Let me start by introducing the co-director, Imam Abdul Karim Shefiu. Imam, good morning. He's a co-director of ICACN. Good morning, Imam.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And I have Elder Eric Udai. Elder Eric Udai is also a member of the Cross River State Safety Commission and also part of the Interreligious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria. Elder, good morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having me here today.
And our very own Faith Okon. She's a member of the Interreligious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria. Faith, in-house presenter. Faith, so good to see you at this other level. Good morning and welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Joseph.
Okay, let me start with the co-director, Imam. Let's look. I would love to bring us, up with speed. Can you give us an overview, what ICACN is all about?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's an honor being here this morning, and we know that Nigeria is being confronted with the corruption. As we all know, corruption is endemic in Nigeria. And in 2016, the then Secretary of State of the United States in the U.S. visited Nigeria, and owing to the fact that he felt that religious leaders could be part of the agent of change in terms of changing behavior as regards impunity and corruption in Nigeria. And he met with some religious leaders, and he gathered through the U.S. Consulate and Embassy, gathered 200 faith leaders, 100 Muslim and 100 Christian, to look at corruption in Nigeria and come up with a strategic action plan, how they can fight corruption. So this led to the emergence of the Interreligious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria. After that event, we started this project with His Eminence Bishop Emma Esong here in Nigeria. And at a point, the MacArthur Foundation felt that our activities needed to be supported, and they came up with the funding of this project through the Mambaya House Center for Democratic Studies in Kano, Bayero University, and who are the main grantees of the project, and we are sub-grantee under them, and we cover the southern part of Nigeria and the north central. All activities, all our focus is to ensure that we bring in religious coalition to help government fight corruption, both at the state and the community level. And we have done appreciably well in this.
Excellent. And I say congratulations, to that. But let's quickly find out, how long has this existed? And we'd love to find out, can you give us an outline of your organization, what it has done and what it's doing, and in its corner to fight anti-corruption?
Yeah, well, the project started in 2018 when the MacArthur Foundation came up with the funding. Though we started in 2016, but 2018 we actually moved into real action. We designed a proposal and a proposal of action based on the template we designed together with other religious leaders, and we started implementation. So far, we have implemented about 43 programs across the country, from the north central down to the southwest, south, and these have helped us to actually build a coalition of religious faith leaders. First of all, we did what we call the drafting and signing of the anti-corruption charter, and this charter is to gather coalition and to gather support for the project at the initial stage. The coalition charter, the anti-corruption charter, was some of our propositions looking at corruption in Nigeria and how to fight them headlong. And so we asked about 1,000 religious leaders signed this. And since then we started we also worked on the youth and the school, whereby we designed a pedagogy of anti-corruption activities in the school, whereby we can catch them young and do what we call the youth rearmament, moral rearmament program, whereby we mainstream modeling and we model the young children on how to be transparent and accountable as a culture of anti-corruption in schools. The project started with the fighting corruption through interfaith platforms. So here we leverage on religious and traditional institutional platforms, whereby we design network of groups that are working with government agencies that are fighting corruption, and also we design this group also to work with civil society organizations of like minds. We also designed this group to work with the community leaders and ensuring that we report. So we designed, we came up with the Report Magomago website, which was launched in 2021 in January, 2022, in conjunction with the U.S. Consulate General in Lagos. So the Report Magomago is to allow people to report any corrupt practices, any chaff practices, even within the government sectors and within other institutions. We also engaged religious leaders, we engaged the public sector on accountability, tracking budget, like town hall meeting to design budget and to ensure that the people who owns the project are carried along in the implementation and the drafting of the project and the implementation. They shouldn't be put in the dark. So we also work with some other civil society organizations with the Whistleblower Bill Act, the National Assembly, to ensure that this Whistleblower Act is being passed into law and the protection of the whistleblower. We also work on what we call the youth project, which is about mainstreaming them, motivating them to fighting corruption from their own level, from schools and both high school and tertiary institutions. We have worked with traditional leaders, and these are taken. In fact, we are in Calabar. This will be about the 4th time in Calabar, whereby we are engaging faith leaders. We just left Port Harcourt here, and also we engage some civil society organizations, some public office holders, and these are really working well. And as far as I'm concerned today, we've been able to pass the message around, and people are yearning to go. And a lot of things we have that we have a lot of mystery have been unraveled in terms of fighting corruption or corruption being endemic in the Nigerian social fabrics, and this we have been able to dismantle to some certain level, and people are really getting to ask questions, because there's what we call the anti-corruption voice amplifiers, whereby we allow people to talk, and when you see something, say something, and that is the slogan we are currently promoting.
Great, thank you very much. Let me bring now Elder Eric Udai in. Let's narrow it down now to Cross River State, and it happens that your organization covers the South as well. How has the fight been like? How has it been?
Well, thank you for that question. Basically, like the Imam have said extensively, the program has been held here in the state now 4 times, which is like 4 years running. And each of these days, the media, which is a major stakeholder in the fight against corruption and accountability, has always been playing a major role in helping to spread and disseminate this information. Because after each program, we always get feedback from the masses, give not thumbs up from what the program is doing. And the media has helped in small measure to spread this. Because like I would say, like the farmer in the village has a transistor radio, the market man in the market has a radio by her side, and the social media also is helping to propagate this message. So it has covered a wide coverage and is working in synergy with the Cross River State government, anti-tax corruption, all joining hands to fight against this nemesis which is tending to tear the state apart. So if more needs to be done anyway, because in doing that we need to bring all hands must be on deck. I can recall back some years back, there used to be this van owned by Cross River, by the state government and information and orientation agency that used to go around giving information to the masses. So if government can bring back that project or bring back those vehicles, it will help a lot in spreading this issue of corruption. So by so doing, it has been always tremendous and fantastic, I must say.
In Cross River State.
In Cross River State
Great.
in particular.
Great. Okay. Faith Okon, let me bring you in now. Countless times it appears that the fight against corruption is like a farce. And we see this upscaling on a daily in Nigeria, in the whole in Africa. And despite all of this, what's your take on this? What do you say to this? Because there's happen to be a corruption orientation in the system. So what's your take on this as regards ICANC?
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph. So I'd first like to state that corruption is as old as man. And so the reason we have a cancer today is because we paid attention to people outside. We kept pointing fingers at people, and so it kept spreading. But what I think that we should begin to do is point fingers at ourselves. What are we doing wrongly? When we start to do that, our lifestyles will begin to change, and it will influence the next person seated by us. And when that happens in families, small circles as that of families, multiply that, we're going to have a multiplier effect. So we understand that should that even happen, we'll have corruption curbed to the barest minimum. Can it be eradicated? I doubt it, personally, but it can be curbed. And when we're looking at corruption, the fight against corruption in Africa is a tough battle. A lot of things, poverty would predispose us naturally to corruption, and then we have the terrorism and all of that. So it's a tough battle. So we cannot be thinking of eradicating it, because even in other developed countries, we do not have it completely eradicated. But we believe that the efforts we are putting, very consensus efforts we are putting to fight corruption, the monster called corruption, would yield impact, would yield results in the near future. It has started, especially in Cross River State. Initially, we did not used to have these conversations from the pulpit or even from the mosques directly. But now we have a lot of pastors getting comfortable with that conversation from the podiums of their churches. And I know that in Nigeria, we really do respect our pastors or hold them in high regards. So I think that those kind of conversations coming from highly esteemed people in society, like pastors, religious leaders, would actually send strong signals to their congregation, and that would be taken back home. And I'm hoping that the majority who here would learn from it and start working towards it.
Great, many thanks, Faith. Imam, let's look at that. We'd love you to give us a data. Let's look at since ICACN arrived to the state. How has the data been? How have you fared in terms of, just give us data.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me put this state particularly, and we have engaged more than 80 religious leaders and about 30 traditional leaders. And from the religious leaders, we have Muslims, because we have Christian more here, and we have the Muslims, especially from the Hausa community and the Yoruba community. They've been part of this very important project. And I must tell you, like you rightly said, now we are seeing religious leaders living up to their expectations or to their divine calling. When I say divine calling, meaning that as a religious leaders, you have to lead by example. By example, meaning that you have to encourage, anti-corruption activities. You must ensure that you say this at every contact you have with the people, because we are the leaders of the people. People respect us more, and we are the only hope now. And that is why this project is tied around faith. And as I told you earlier, we have made appreciable impact. We have seen situations whereby religious leaders are actually confronting themselves. Because that was where we started. Charity begins at home. Let us first of all clean up our own mind as religious leaders, if we know we want to. So, and we have some religious leaders who actually backed out because they felt that they cannot do this. You know what I'm saying? And those of us that are there, but I must say it is really commendable that we have very good and highly positioned religious leaders that are really pushing for this. And because we felt that our scriptures have helped us. Recently in Abuja, we were there with the ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Academy, training faith leaders and faith-based institutions on the NAIP policy, the National Ethics and Integrity Policy of the federal government through the ICPC. Here, they build capacity of religious leaders to go back to their various mosques and churches and institutions to scale up this training for other religious leaders. So far, so good. We have had a lot of religious leaders coming. In fact, most of them are even yearning to be part of the organization and also do the needful in terms of the implementation. But kudos to the John D. and Katrina T. MacArthur Foundation for supporting us at all times on this project. It's very important. At the Mambaya House in Kano, they are really working hard to ensure that they give us all the support that it takes to get this project implemented on the ground.
Great. Okay. Now, Dai, let's look at today. We are aware that we have a program coming up, and I'd love you to talk to us. Give us detailed information on what we should know about today's program.
Okay, the program comes up this morning by 10:30 morning at the Kwazulu State Anti-Tax Secretariat. And like the Imam has said, the major stakeholders have been contacted and will be represented. Likewise with the media. So we look forward to having an extensive and rewarding conversation and seminar this morning, which will go a long way once more to bring to the awareness of the masses the issue of corruption, which have eaten deep into the fabric of society. And this menace has always been done, like Fred rightly said, you cannot eliminate it, but it can be reduced, can be brought low. If these things are started from our homes, we the parents must start by imbibing this culture of corruption, anti-corruption in our children. Like when your child comes back from school, you see your child with something you didn't get for him. You must question that child. How did you get this? I don't want to see with anything that is not yours or was not given to you by your mom or your father. So by so doing, I think it will go a long way in bringing to the barest minimum the issue of corruption and accountability, which is the theme of today's training. You must learn to be held responsible for what you've been entrusted to do. Our leaders in public office must be accountable to the people, because those ones are they are held in trust for the masses. So accountability also has a major role to play. It's going to be very rewarding today, know that. And I look forward to having a very fine and fantastic seminar today.
Okay, Imams, in
addition to that, okay. The project has a lot of design and audience, target audience. This particular one is to interact with the media. We call it using the conventional media to promote anti-corruption and transparency in Nigeria. So what we want to do is to interact with the media and ensure that they are able to pass these messages to the nook and crannies of this country. So it spreads the message, they spread the message around, and also hear from them where we are lacking, and we also need their support. So this is a very important aspect of it. Here we'll be telling the world, the entire world, about what we have done and what we're doing and what we intend to do in the future.
Okay, Faith, finally, let me bring you in on this. What should be the expectations of people that will be attending this event?
Yeah, it's like he had mentioned, it's going to be an intense collaboration between the media and the ICACN. So what we should know is that we are going to get a lot of information reeled out concerning the fight against corruption in our little corner. And I also know that people who are stakeholders and have already been pre-invited for this meeting, we have a lot to take home to ponder over. And I strongly believe that the media plays a very strong role in information dissemination. So with them coming in now, I think the fight will be a little easier for us because they would certainly do their part this time around with proper understanding of what ICACN has done and is still doing and how they can assist us with this fight.
Thank you very much. This is where we have to hang it. Imam Abdul Karim Shefu, co-director, Interreligious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria. Many thanks for your time on the show.
Thank you so much.
And Elder Eric Udai is also a member and also member of the Cross River State Safety Commission. Many thanks for your time on the show.
It's always a pleasure.
And the only lady in our midst, Faith Okon, member Interreligious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria. Thank you very much, team, for this update. We would be there, to push it further because this is what we need. We need a change, and that change begins with us.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Good morning, Cross River. Return shortly. Don't go anywhere.